Okay, so hi, Assalamualaikum. For today, we're gonna make a discussion about subject sociology of education. So with me, we have four excellent students. We have Balkis, Aida, Atira, and myself. Okay, so today we're gonna talk about five topics and we're gonna discuss it in briefly about each of the topics. So let's discuss with us. Next slide. Okay, so for the topic one, we have concept and importance of sociology of education. We need to understand first what is the concept and what is the importance of learning sociology of education. So for the concept, we know that sociology of education is recognized as a place where there's an opportunity for students to learn and develop unique skills that they have and they need and in the school to prepare them for the next stage of life. So for example, in school, they will learn how to get a very good communication skills. They will learn soft skills such as problem solving, and they will also learn how to interact with people who is older than them. And not to forget, in school, they will also be exposed with the job, with the career job that they will venture after taking SPM by the counselor, for example. So basically, sociology of education is open opportunity for students to learn and develop their skills. It is for the concept. And how about Balkis? Do you have anything to add on?
Yes. Okay. Other than that, I would like to add that the sociology of education
Yes.
not only focus on how personal and character development,
Yes.
how it is built, but it also focuses on more about the socialization process or social
Mm-hmm.
interaction itself that happen in educational settings. So to
Okay.
understand better, we
Mm-hmm.
can like view or imagine it
Mm-hmm.
as a group of people
Yes.
that came from different socioeconomic background, different gender or racial identity, or even obviously different personal experiences. So they are all gathered in a single place, whether it is school or university or any other educational institutions. They
Yes.
will interact uh, with each other for the sake of
Mm-hmm.
seeking knowledge, and will most likely to produce different outcomes in terms of personal intellectual, moral, physical, and emotional development. Hence, it
Okay.
is safe to say that sociology of education studies the problem
Mm.
as well as the relationship between the society and education as they are influencing each other. Okay,
Okay.
that's all from me.
Thank you so much, Balkis. So that's for the concept of sociology of education. So now we want to understand what is the importance of sociology of education. Maybe Sister Aida can add on something.
Okay, one of the importance of sociology of education is the knowledge derived from sociology of education will help the society in understanding how education and its effects are influenced by public institutions and experiences.
Okay, thank you so much, Sister Aida. Do you have anything else?
Wait, is my voice clear? Right?
Yes, sure. Clear?
Okay. Sorry for the suddenly the pause. Okay, so these external factors such as political forces, economical forces, social forces, and
Yes.
technological development. For instance, the issue that arises on Twitter, which I have seen lately, is regarding how a lot of T20, the rich households, took the supposed
Mm.
P40 students' place at Sekolah Berasrama Penuh, also known
Yes.
as SBP,
Mm.
when SBP initial goal was to close the income gap between poor and wealthy families by using their children as a catalyst to change their family situation. Also, it has been a common issue how the rich parents sometimes use their ability to use, the term cable to
Yes.
hoard the scholarship that is also supposed to be for the poor one. This causes the poor student doesn't get the quality education they are supposed to get. Disease and influence
Yes.
education. That's all from me.
Thank you so much, Sister Ida, for the very good explanation. Now, you want to ask Sister Atira, do you have any other importance to highlight for the sociology of education?
Yes, okay. So the other
Okay.
importance of sociology and education
Yes.
is it is impactful upon intending teacher.
Uh,
They straight away turn to the pedagogical problem of
yes.
what the school should do and how teachers are accustomed to set about doing it, or how indeed with thought of their function, their services as socializing agents might be improved. For example, Emma Durham, in so
Mm-hmm.
doing, he professed education as an applied science. And then there is also a scholar who was concerned to elaborate the diagnosis of the situation, in which the school will have to work helping this to enlighten teachers and educators generally as to the social role of education in modern society. That's
Okay.
all from me.
Okay, thank you so much, Sister Atira. So we have discussed the concept and the importance of sociology of education. Now we move to the next topic, which is topic 2. The title of the topic 2 is the relationship between society and school. So we want to know what is the relationship between society and school, and does it give a good impact, or does it bring back impact towards the students and the society. Okay, so we open the floor for the Sister Ida first. So do you have anything, Sister Ida?
Okay, so through school prepare the student to be functional individual in the society. In school, we have been taught various kinds of knowledge and skills. Moreover, not only this, too, we also have been taught about morals, how to be a good individual. With all
Yes.
this knowledge combined, the students are being prepared to be a society member who can contribute a lot more for the society. Like, for example, there will be no doctor if not for the
Yes.
teacher's education. Because
Okay.
every career, in my opinion, begins with the education. Okay, that's
Okay.
all from me.
Thank you so much, Sister Ida. So I also want to add something. Okay, so for the relationship between society and school, we know that school are one of the mainstays of the culture. So schools play important role by passing on to the younger generation the knowledge and the understanding one has accumulated, one preserve the level of civilization. So in school, they also be the middleman to pass the culture from older generation to the younger generation. So for the example, the culture of always help the neighbors, always respect the older people than us. So it will pass the norm or the culture from the upper generation to the lower generation, so that the younger generation will know the importance of become a respectful citizen, and they will also learn how to be good citizen by applying the the lecture or the teaching that has been taught in school. So I think that's it for me. Now I want to ask Sister Balkis. Do you have anything to say, Sister Balkis?
Can you hear my voice?
Yes.
Okay, so I want to add that besides maintaining values or cultural heritage through the
Mhm.
generations, ironically, schools or educational institutions or schooling also promotes the acceleration of social changes
Mhm.
towards a better society. So just like how things around us are constantly changing,
Yes.
evolving, new problems arise, require new solution or innovation, school, community, or government or policymakers are continuously attempting to fulfill any loops found in the current schooling system, trying to fixing the flaws, upgrading the performance from time to time, to create
Yes.
a better environment. as well as to producing more efficient students. Therefore, students are exposed and able to learn how they should improvise their current living state, make changes to achieve a betterment of society, such as becoming more open to diversity, reducing the gap between social class due to the past generation lifestyle, and also cooperating well with each other. So the nearest example we can see is how currently, if you notice, like several of our friends are currently running for an election for becoming the new presidents of their faculty student society. So they are all promoting and sharing their manifesto on what changes and or improvement they can make for the good of their community. So therefore it is safe to say that school does affect particular society in a positive way of social changes. So I think that's all for me.
Okay, thank you so much, Sister Balkis. Next, we move to the Sister Atira. Okay, Sister Atira, do you want to add something?
Okay, I want to add that school play its role in promoting morality and harmony for the benefit of society. The school as a social institution is supposed to play its role in the socialization process of the students to produce better human beings. We must focus on the socialization of the students so they have good behavior. In school, the teachers are supposed to help the children have better socialization to take care of their morals. Teachers are educators. We are not supposed to teach our subject only, but to take care of their socialization. And then promoting harmony. As we know, Malaysia is a multicultural country. When we have multicultural and many regions, we need to have harmony. We need to have acceptance of each other. We need to have tolerance. We need to have peace, and we need to have cooperation. That's how we bring harmony. We get all these things through socialization process in school. That's all from me.
Okay, thank you so much, Sister Atira. So topic 2 was really interesting because we discussed the relationship between society and school. Now we move to the topic 3, which is comparison between four Muslim scholar perspective on education and schooling. So we have Ibn Sina, we have Al-Ghazali, we have 2 more scholars, okay, which are Ibn Khaldun and Al-Farabi. Okay, so now we will discuss the comparison one by one, which is we're gonna start with Ibn Sina first. So, Sister Aida, do you have anything about Ibn Sina?
Yes, according to Ibn Sina, education is intended to aid in the physical, mental, and moral development of individuals. Ibn Sina views education as the same as another Muslim scholar that I will explain later. So, according to him, education is holistic. However, the one thing that differentiates his opinion uh, with another Muslim scholar is Ibn Sina sees education as a tool that helps an individual develop more complex in all aspects. Education also help individual in having a better understanding of their physical, mental, moral. The knowledge will guide them to grow more to become a better person than before.
Okay, thank you so much, Sister Aida, for the explanation. Okay, so I want to add something. Okay, so Ibn Sina views education and schooling as does not restrict the task of education to creating the complete citizen, but rather sees that education must also prepare for a profession whereby we can contribute to the society structure. So Ibn Sina aims of education as the overall growth of the individual, physical, mental, and moral, and followed by preparation of these individuals to live in society through a chosen thread according to his aptitude. So, Abdul Sina, education does not neglect physical development and everything implied by it. Physical exercise, food and drink, sleep, and cleanliness. And it does not aim exclusively at intellectual development and the amazing of the knowledge. Likewise, Ibn Sina does not devote his attention to the moral aspect alone, but aims to the formation of a personality complete in body, mind, and character. And that's it for the Ibn Sina part. Okay, next we move to the Sister Balkis. Do you have anything to add on, Sister Balkis?
I do. I would like to add a little bit. So, as mentioned before, by Sister Aida and Sister Aisha, Ibn Misa emphasized the importance of physical, mental, and moral development through education. However, discussing about education, Ibn Sina also paid great attention to intellectual development or knowledge, as it is closely related to the mentioned development before, the mental, physical development and moral development. So he believes a person with strong intellectual development or knowledge will produce a sound body and mind that he find it is important for the society. Okay, that's all for me.
Okay, thank you so much, Sister Balkis. Now we move to Sister Atira. Sister Atira, do you have anything to add on?
Yes. So I would like to add that according to Ibn Sina, the parents should take the responsibility of educating and raising a child. He said it must become a tradition that mother and father take the responsibility of training the child, mother in the special issues related to her or him, and father in the expenses. That's all from me.
Okay, thank you so much, Sister Atira. Now we have done Ibn Sina part, and we already explored the Ibn Sina perspective on education and schooling. Now we move to Al-Ghazali. So we want to know what is Al-Ghazali perspective on education and schooling, and we will start with Sister Aida. So Sister Aida, can you say something?
Okay, for Al-Ghazali, for him, education encompasses the academic, religious, moral, physical, and psychological well-being of students. According to Al-Ghazali, education is beyond scientific knowledge for an individual. It means that it's not only limited for, for science, mathematics. It is beyond that. And also, the lack of one of the thing that I mentioned above, which academic, religious, moral, physical, and psychological well-being, it will create an individual who lacks of one of the things that will, in my opinion, that will cause him to be not really effective for the society. Okay, that's all from me.
Okay, thank you so much, Sister Aida. So I want to add something. So Al-Ghazali perspective on education and schooling is that education or schooling is cultivate man so that he abides by the teaching of religion and is hence assured of salvation and happiness in the eternal life and hereafter. So that Al-Ghazi also mentioned that man is born as a tabula rasa and children acquire personality, characteristic, and behavior through living in society and interacting with the environment. So it's the role of the family to teach the children its language, custom, and religious tradition, whose influence they cannot escape. Therefore, the main responsibility for children's education falls on the parents who take credit for their probity and bear the burden of their errors. They are partners in everything the children do, and this responsibility is subsequently shared by the teachers. Okay, so that's all for me. Now we move to Sister Balkis.
Okay, so besides that, what has been mentioned just now by Sister Aisha and Sister Ida, Al-Ghazali also views education as not complete without practical works. He believes in the need to put theoretical learning into practice, which means that effective learning only happens if the knowledge affects the student's life. For example, like one who is learning about sustainable development goals should have practiced what he learns and include his daily actions that will aim to sustain the environment, as well as for Muslims who learn Quran and Sunnah should also have done according to what we learn. So that's what I noticed about Al-Ghazali views on education and schooling. So how's about Sister Atira?
Okay, so as described um, from Sister Aisha that children is under families or parents' responsibility, and it is also similar to Ibn Sina. So Al-Ghazali uh, thought that children education falls under parents' responsibility. Parents' good upbringing gives children a good characteristics and lives a righteous life. Children should be exposed to education at early stage and learn Quran, prophets, and religion, respecting parents, elders, and good behaviors towards classmates. Children should devote attention to religious education starting from the age of 7. If the parents and later the teachers brought him which is the child up in the righteousness, he would live happily in this world and the next, and they would be rewarded by God for their good deed. If they neglected the child's upbringing and education, he would lead a life of unhappiness in both worlds, and they would bear the burden of the sin of neglect. That's all from me.
Okay, thank you so much for the explanation. Sister Atira, Sister Balki, Sister Aida, and even myself has already explained the comparison between foreign Muslim scholar. Now we move to the Ibn Khaldun and Al-Farabi. Okay, so now for the Ibn Khaldun first, we need Sister Aida to explain her point. Thank you.
Okay, Ibn Khaldun is one of the Muslim scholar that for me have kind of like the same perspective of education with Ibn Sina before. So Ibn Khaldun defined education as moral, intellectual, and teaching of human beings to bring out their potential for greater character and personality. In Ibn Khaldun's opinion, education is divided by two. The first one is mental and the second one is religion. And hence, education in the eyes of Ibn Khaldun is holistic. Muslim needs to learn Al-Quran, Hadith, and Sunnah while also learning other worldly knowledge such as sciences, mathematics, etc. This will create a great individual who is good in both as they have a better understanding in both of the knowledge aspects. Okay, that's all from me.
Okay, thank you so much, Sister Aida. So I also noticed that Ibn Khaldun also integrated the educational program with the behavioral ones in a way that all sciences become a combination of both. So Ibn Khaldun integrated the educational program with the behavioral ones in a way that all science become a combination of both, right? As he believed in the influence of the behavioral education, he assumed that learning leads to a stage of transition in both the individual mind and the individual manners. So, for instance, Ibn Khaldun advises that the best method of instruction is to begin with calculation because it is concerned with the lucid knowledge and systematic proof. And as a role, it produces an enlightened intellect that is trained along correct lines. And it has been said that whoever applies himself to the study of calculation early in his life will, as a role, be truthful because calculation has a sound basis and requires self-discipline, soundness, and self-discipline will also become a character qualities of such a person. So that's all for me. Now we move to Sister Balkis.
So next, I would like to add on about the one of the main objective of education, according to Ibn Khaldun, is students should acquire critical thinking, reasoning, and problem-solving skills through the education system. So he believed that an education system based on enhancing only the students' memorization abilities is not effective at all and is not impactful for the students' development. They are not helping them much to survive in their future life. So rather, he emphasized their method of teaching that helps students to think and solve problems by their own. So yeah, that's my point. How
So
about
that's
Sister
why,
Akira?
Sister Balkis, so is that why uh, uh,
Yeah.
Ibn Khaldun do not like the memorization?
Yes. Base
Uh,
learning.
okay. So according, can you next? So according to Ibn Khaldun too, the educational system of any society should be formulated in accordance with the ideology of the society. For example, Muslim men and women should gain the knowledge of the Holy Quran and Sunnah and following the guidance of Allah taught by the Holy Prophet. Education should develop social and economic efficiency in man to survive in the society. That's all from me.
Okay, thank you so much, Sister Atira. So we have done Ibn Khaldun, and we move to the last Muslim scholars, which is Al-Farabi, and we start with Sister Aida.
Okay, because ignorance at the leadership level is more destructive than at the lower level, education is necessary to generate a good political leader, according to Al-Farabi. To be a good leader, a leader has to have an education so the knowledge will hit them hard on the leader's head and make them make them realize that the responsibility they have for the people who they are supposed to take care of others. It means that being a leader is not all about powers, about wealthy. Being leaders mean you have the knowledge and you know, according to Al-Farabi, and you know how to handle your responsibility toward other peoples that you have to take care of it. Okay, that's all from me.
Oh, okay, thank you so much, Sister Aida. So I also want to add something about Al-Farabi. So Al-Farabi, perspective on education is that education is the combination of learning with practical action, and this has been mentioned by Sister Balkis and Al-Ghazali. So both of the scholars mentioned that education is the combination of learning, and we need to practical action. So what is meant by the purpose of knowledge is to apply it. So the highest stage lies in its being transformed into action, and whatever by its nature should be known and practiced. And its perfection lies in it actually being practiced. Okay, so the sciences are nothing until or unless they can be applied in a practical, otherwise void and useless. So the practical sciences are those which are linked to readiness for action, and absolute perfection is what the human being achieve through knowledge and action applied together. So if the speculative sciences are learned without applying them, and this wisdom is defective. Okay, so if we want to relate with our situation as a student, so for example, we are taking counseling as our major, right? So anything that we learn in the lecture, for example, to always be good with other people, to always feel empathy towards other people. So all of this we need to apply it so that our knowledge become useful and it's will not consider as a defective knowledge. So that's all for me. Next we move to Sister Balkis.
So moving on, Farabi, that I noticed, use a quite large number of technical terms to describe the concept of education, such as the first one is discipline, which is ta'dib, correction or a set of waqwin. The third is training or tahdib. Fourth is guidance or tasdid. fifth is instruction or etiat, and the last one is upbringing or education, which is tarbiyah. So good manners, which is the takdir, the first one, the root words came from adab. So the good manners or culture or adab, in his opinions, in their true educational meanings, are the combination of all the good qualities, while discipline in terms of the ta'dib is the way of creating that moral virtue and the practical arts in the nation. So, and there also like an argument between the ta'dib and ta'lim. So instruction, which is ta'lim, is creating the speculative virtues in nations and cities. So Al-Farabi distinguished these two terms with instruction, ta'lim, and discipline, ta'dib, by explaining that the former is the way of acquiring the theoretical culture and it is mainly verbal, but the later forms, articles, conduct and leads to technical or practical skills, such as mentioned by Sister Ashah before. So they are therefore quite different. And then besides from disciplining the students, they also need to correct their mistakes, training them with their to be consistent with their moral virtues, and then guide them, instruct them on what to do, and as well as upbringing. So that's all that I can notice from the Al-Farabi's perspective on education. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, Sister Balkis. Now we move to the last person, Sister Atira.
Okay, so next, according to Al-Farabi too, education concerned with the human soul, prepare individual from early age to be a good member of society and on perfection. Education is the acquisition of values, knowledge, and practical skills by the individual. Acquired moral value for own moral perfection or behavior, perfection in terms of knowledge and virtue, perfection in terms of knowledge and virtue. That's all for me.
Okay, thank you so much, Sister Atira. Now we have done topic 3, which is comparison between Muslim scholars. Now we move to the topic 4, which is comparison between 3 Western theories, views on education and schooling. So we have 3 theory here. We have conflict theory, functionalist theory, and the last one is postmodern theory. Okay, now we will discuss one by one, which is we're gonna start with conflict theory first. So Sister Aida, do you have anything about conflict theory?
Okay, education, according to conflict theories, is primarily used by the ruling classes to sustain social inequality by restricting access to education and producing the side discipline level. According to my understanding, conflict theory has negative perspective to education. As mentioned before, conflict theories view education as a tool that retains the inequality in the society, as the richer who are capable of affording quality education will gain a good reputation and work. Meanwhile, the poor who don't have the capability to afford a good education will be left behind. Hence, conflict theories argue that people from lower social classes are denied the same opportunities and privileges as those from higher social classes, regardless of their academic competence or desire to learn. Okay, that's all for me.
Okay, thank you so much, Sister Aida. So I want to add something from Sister Aida's point of view. So conflict theory is basically about the fulfillment of one's education is closely linked to a social class. So like from what I understand, students of low socioeconomic status are generally not afforded the same opportunities as students of higher status, no matter how great their academic ability or desire to learn. Picture a student from a working class home who wants to do well in school. For example, on Monday, he is assigned a paper that's due on Friday. Monday evening, he has to babysit his younger sister while his divorced mother works. Tuesday and Wednesday, he works stocks shelf after school until 10 p.m. By Thursday, the only day he might have available to work on the assignment, He is so exhausted, he can't bring himself to start a paper. His mother thought she is like to help him. He is so tired herself that she isn't able to give him the encouragement or support he needs. And since English is her second language, she has difficulty with some of his educational material, and they also lack a computer and printer at home, which most of his classmates have. So they have to rely on the public library or school system for access to technology. And as this story shown, many students from working class family have to contend with helping out at home, contributing financially to the family, poor students' environment, and lack of support from their families. And this is a difficult match with education system that adhere to a traditional curriculum that is more easier to understood and completely by students of higher social classes. So that's mean by education is closely linked to a social class. So that's all for me. Next, we move to the sister Balki.
So as for me, what I can grasp from conflict theory's views on education is instead of promoting self-exploration, critical thinking, and personal development, indoctrination is taking place in these public education institutions. So which is to achieve with the aim to achieve the social controls that people in power wanted to preserve. So even both formal and informal sanctions are used in educational settings to produce a docile and disciplined society, as mentioned before by Sister Arya. So that's the most important point that I see in the conflict theories view on education and schooling. So how's about Sister Atira?
Okay, next is this theory. Okay, this theory is based on the assumption that society is a complex system characterized by inequality and conflicts that generate social change. So according to this theory, there are three important elements which are conflict, change, force. So because the struggle over limited resources, power and prestige as permanent aspect of societies, then conflict, then social change happen. That's all from me.
Okay, thank you so much, Sister Tira. Now we have done conflict theory. Now we move to the functionalist theory. So, Sister Aida, do you have anything to say about functionalist theory?
Okay, functionalists believe that educations offer additional doors and a work for people, hence elevating their social status. Compared to conflict theories, functionalists believe in equality in the society where everyone works with each other to make a functioning society. Based on functionalist theories, at school is where a student learns how to socialize and build their network by befriending everyone. And they also learn about respect and learn how to communicate towards someone who has somewhat like power, social control, such as the principal, teachers, etc. This will prepare them to face the work life which has the hierarchy, so they know how to communicate and how to like socialize with others. Okay, that's all from me.
Okay, thank you so much, Sister Aida. So besides what Sister Aida said, functionalist theory also said that school perform positive functions for most pupils most of the time. So even though students might not want to go to school sometimes and not necessarily enjoy schools, some of the time, the majority comes out after 13 years of formal schooling as a reasonable human being. So that's what I understand from functionalist theory. Okay, next, Sister Balkis.
So next, I would like to highlight that as functionalists believe every part of society are needed to play their roles to achieve a particular goal that they shared, they actually in fact have a very optimistic and sometimes unrealistic view on education and its relation to the social status. Meanwhile, in reality, education will not always produce all the outcomes the functionalists think education can contribute to the society, especially regarding reducing the existing economic gaps. So I think that's very important to note about the functionalist theory. So that's all for me.
Okay, thank you so much, Sister Balkis. Now we move to the last person. Sister Atira, do you have anything to say?
Yes, I do. So, if conflict theory's assumption is on that society is a complex system characterized by inequality and conflicts that generate social change, uh, functionalist theory, on the other hand, is based on the assumption that a society is a complex system which work together to promote stability. It emphasizes the way in which each part of a society contributes to the whole, so to maintain stability. According to this, according to according to this approach, society and institutions in society, such as education, are interdependent. Society is represented by major units or institutions, namely family, religion, education, politics, economics, and health. Every unit must work and contribute to the functioning of the whole society. That's all from me.
Okay, thank you so much, Sister Atira. Now we have done functionalist theory and also conflict theory, and we move to the last Western theory, which is postmodern view. Okay, we started with Sister Ida first. So, Sister Ida, what is postmodern views on education and schooling that you want to highlight?
Okay, emphasize on renewed ethics and values, formation theories, and like postmodern theories focus on the changing that happen in the society. Postmodernist ways of viewing things are to understand what needs to be done in the society that rapidly changes and is uncertain. Education in postmodernist opinion is one way of helping an individual to adapt with the changes by teaching the latest knowledge regarding every aspect that relate to the changes that happen. Okay.
Okay, thank you so much, Sister Ida. So besides what have been mentioned by Sister Ida, in postmodern view of theory, and it also mentioned that education are teaching critical thinking, production of knowledge, development of individuals and society identity, and self-creation. So, in postmodern view theory, teachers just lead students to discover new things. Okay, they provide opportunities to discuss about different subjects and make creative ways. So, in this situation, students learn to listen to other voices. They tolerate other criticism and they try to think in critical way. They learn to respect other cultures and nationalities. Also, they emphasize on cooperative learning, independent learning. So, and dialectic, critical and verbal method. So it is deducted that postmodernism and creativity are embedded in each other, and we can find the result of this option in postmodern education because there's no prior framework in postmodern education, and we just look for the change and evaluation, and this point is one of the most important contexts for creativity. So that's all for me. Next, Sister Balkis, do you have anything to say about postmodern view?
Yes, I do. So, furthermore, postmodernists also believe that the current education system is no longer contributes to the inequality of processes that happens between social classes as what the conflict theorists believe. So, rather, postmodernists argue that education is reproducing diversity, looking at how we currently no longer universalize education. We are currently considering that the one size fits all education is no longer appropriate, relevant, and effective. So the postmodernists definitely argue that the education has become more diverse, responsive to the needs of different individuals and groups. So for example, like how now we have more options rather than just the mainstream educations like vocational education and so on. So that's what I noticed from the postmodern interviews.
Okay, thank you so much, Sister Balkis.
So Okay, so as Balkis described that education, that modern postmodern view argued that education reproduces class equality because class division of labor influence society. A society is more fragmented and diverse. Postmodernists would say that we can no longer talk about established institutions such as family, economy, and religion because nothing is staying the same anymore. Postmodernists say society now is much less stable, more fragmented, and fast changing, which causes uncertainty and chaos within our society. That's all from me.
Okay, thank you so much, Sister Adira. Sister Balkis and also Sister Aida, now we have done topic 4, and the last one will be topic 5, which is comparison between Islamic and Western perspective. So we want to compare between Islamic and Western perspective on education, and we will start with Sister Aida on Islamic first. Yes, Sister Aida.
Okay. Okay, thank you, Sister Aisha. Okay, education is Islam is to prepare a holistic individual. I have mentioned this before. Education should promote man's spiritual, intellectual, imaginative, physical, scientific, and linguistic development in all aspects. Even in Al Quran, there are a lot of knowledge that we can learn. And plus, a Muslim have to be balanced. Thus, the knowledge that derived from Al Quran, Sunnah, Hadith, and at school, at university, all this knowledge can guide us in surviving both the world and the hereafter. Okay, that's all from me. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, Sister Aida. So compared to Islamic perspective on education, which is focused on holistic view, Western perspective, however, develop all human potential except for spiritual. So it means that they just focus on outer success, such as become a good teacher or become a very successful businessman, but however they neglected the spiritual part, which is they doesn't even care if the person have a bad attitude or something like that. In fact, that what it's mean by it just focus on human potential except for spiritual. Okay, that's all for me. Next is the Atira on Islamic perspective on education.
Okay, so next, from Islamic perspective of education, the ultimate goal of Islamic education is the realization of complete submission to Allah. Education is the integral preparation of, this is according to a scholar, education is the integral preparation of the good, dutiful, and wholesome individual, physically, spiritually, in his relationship with his Lord, mentally, within clear and simple framework that begins with the individual in particular and end up in the entire human being society in general. It also starts in this life and eventually leads to the hereafter. So what about the Western perspective?
So, in comparison to what Sister Tira has mentioned just now, so Western education has a different ultimate goal, which is to achieve materialistic success. So, all those personal developments that mentioned by Sister Aisha and Ida before, the skills, the enhancements that we learn and practice are needed and channeled to achieve materialistic success in the future that will provide comfort and a promising worldly life. This is all due to the lack of spiritual development, which also as explained by the Sister Aisha before. So all the flaws came from the system of education itself, where a man is free and responsible for his own deeds. His life is fully guided by his own inaction, and he's therefore free to his interests, choices, and prejudice. So what I would like to say is worldly life successes do matter, but we also have to balance with spiritual or hereafter successes, especially for us, the Muslims, to achieve even more harmonious life and long-lasting happiness. So yeah, that's all for me. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, Sister Aida, Sister Balkis, and Sister Atira. Now we have done 5 topics and we have discussed it in deeply about these 5 topics. And for the conclusion, we hope that all the all the information that we have been provided to all of you will be used in a good ways, and it will help you to find good information. And yeah, that's it for us. Do you have anything to add on? Anyone?
I just like to say thank you for the
Okay.
very comprehensive discussion. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye.